Welcome to Rooster Radio, a broadcast dedicated to supporting and promoting local artists in the Gaston County and surrounding areas.
The difference between like artist and celebrity now and before is you could be a complete total piece of shit and be one of the most famous people on the planet because your private life was private.
Yeah.
Right? Think of they say Sinatra was connected to the mob and like all these famous people that just did awful things that nobody really knew about because
you're listening to the number one song. You listen to Fly Me to the Moon. How are you going to think about the mob on that song,
But today it's like you have the ability, and most people use it, to just everything is out there.
Yeah.
And so now as consumers, we get to choose who do we support. We support people based on, this person is a lot like me, or this person's talking about stuff that I like. So instead of having a handful of people that kind of are the most famous, you've got millions really of people that have
influencers.
Have influence in whatever community they're a part of, which I don't know if that's a good thing or not, to be perfectly honest. I think we'll find out.
I think there's a fine line too between using your life and your personal experiences for like a masturbatory purpose versus for I have a platform that I can use for good. And so I think there's a very fine line there. And I mean, maybe not super fine, but because you have some people that you're like, why are you speaking? But then you have, with my show, I have a platform that I can use to sort of spread positive messages about love and relationships.
Yeah.
And so and then another show that I'm working on is that would be a positive, I'm using the platform I have to try to help other people. And so there's a difference between what I'm willing to share about certain personal things to help other people versus I'm sharing these personal things to get all the attention or whatever that is.
Well, I mean, just in our experience from this show, which by the way, we're talking to Brooke and we're talking to Trace. And you can catch them here this Friday, the 21st. Brooke is starring. She wrote, produced, and it stars in a one-woman comedy called How to Be an Ethical Slut. And our good friend Trace, who introduced us to Brooke, is going to open the show with some fun, funny, lighthearted songs before the play. So you're getting a little bit of music, a little bit of theater. It's going to be a great time. We still have a handful of tickets left. Get your tickets. This is something different, something we don't do a lot of. So I'm really excited at after having prepared for this, it kind of makes me wish I had a little bit more lighting equipment. And so, I'm learning what our limitations are when it comes to theater. But
next year we'll get a spotlight or something.
But it is going to be a fun time. And what I was going to say was I love how you use your social media to promote the show. You're showing here's the merch, and you're putting different characters out there on your stories, and you're kind of alluding to things that you'll see in the show. And it's cool, you're doing it the right way. So I'm really grateful, and I appreciate that. And Trace always does the same. He's always, doing funny little reels and stuff to promote his show. So it's been a pleasant experience, to say the least.
Well, great. Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Thank you both for bringing me here. If it weren't for you, Trace, I wouldn't be able to do this.
I know, I'm the greatest.
You're the best.
I know.
Trace is great at playing this game, the networking and getting involved and being supportive of others. That's why we love him so much. He always anytime Jade can't make an open mic, he's the first person we call to step in to host.
Wow. Coming in March at some point.
Mm-hmm. End of March. So you can catch Trace at open mic in March.
Yeah.
But before we, I want to know how this will be which time will this be for you performing this in front of an audience?
I'm pretty sure this will be my 37 show.
Wow.
37.
Yeah.
All right.
It's going to be clean.
Right, I hope. But I've done it. I wrote the show in 2020 and I debuted it in 2020. And that was an interesting thing in and of itself because of COVID at the time. And then I started touring it through a lot of fringes and self-producing things in 2022. And so for a while, every time I was doing the show again at a different fringe festival, I was always making slight tweaks. So I think, since 2020, it's only gotten better and better and cleaner and more, more specific.
So like consolidation of words and things and like
exactly.
stuff like that. Yeah, you hear a lot of comedians talk about that, like, using words, not really as a weapon, but like being more concise and like maybe this word doesn't belong here because so 37 times I would imagine, you've had an opportunity to kind of really hone it in, which is exciting. Where all have you taken the show?
Oh, gosh. So like I was saying, a lot of fringe festivals. So Philly Fringe, St. Louis Fringe, Hartford Fringe, New York City's Frigid, which is now rebranded as New York Fringe or New York City Fringe. And I actually did it a bunch in Charlotte when I lived here very briefly before at a bar called Stumptown Station, which I just did it again where Trace saw it for the first time. And then like Orlando, Austin, Texas, that was a good one. They're a very slutty city. So that was crazy. I needed like security guards or something. That was wild. I did it out in Evansville, Indiana, which was a very interesting experience.
Midwest,
It was a family fundraising event.
Whoa.
So but it was an interesting show. It was very well received by some people and very like what the hell by other people.
Right.
But I've taken it all over at this point. And obviously I debuted it when I was in grad school in Athens, Georgia, at the University of Georgia. So
right on. And I apologize. With Fringe Fest, I'm not familiar with that. Does that allude to like fringe aspects of the arts, or is it like what is?
Yeah, so Fringe Fest basically started a long time ago back in Scotland when some of the artists were being sort of pushed to the fringes of the city, and so they started the first ever Fringe Festival, literally being that they were on the fringes, on the edges of the city, trying to produce edgy performances in non-traditional venues because they weren't allowed to perform where they had been performing. And so that is literally the origin of the fringe. And I might have, missed a fact here or there, but you get the point,
That's
right?
pretty cool, though.
And so the biggest fringe festival in the world is still in Edinburgh, Scotland. And so then not every city, but lots of big cities, especially lots of cities with arts will do a fringe. And even Charlotte has Boom Fringe, which I'll be performing in later this year as well. And so, it's just, it's an opportunity for like edgy art, new work, things that are experimental to just get a platform to work through their stuff. So that's sort of what the fringe festivals are.
Cool. I thought that might be it, but for idiots like me, I thought it would be worth explaining.
For me, I thought I was thinking story with a fringe. I really was. I was like, okay, no. That's where I was like, fringe? Really, like tassels? Okay, never mind.
So, all right. I mean, part of me wants to go philosophical with this conversation and talk about, how the arts, there's the adage, the last thing funded and the first thing taken away from budgets, and how the way you described it with like arts kind of being pushed to the outskirts, it just makes me think a lot about how difficult it is to live in this life because, on one hand, there's mechanics that make a community run, right? There's certain systems in place that make communities successful. And arts should be a part of that, but arts don't bring value. Arts don't turn lights on and run water and clean water, and arts don't provide health care, but some would argue that they do. So it's just, I don't know. My mind kind of went that way when you said that, but I don't want to take away from your show. I want to talk about the show.
Okay.
What can people, so people see these posters, they've been seeing them in here for the last month, and they're looking at people, just about everybody that reads it is like, how to be an ethical slut, and they kind of, either kind of do that or they kind of chuckle.
Right.
So what exactly, without giving too much away, what can people expect from this show?
Yeah, so the structure of the show is a one-woman musical comedy show. So it will be me on stage the whole time. I will sing a bunch of songs, like in the style of a musical, where the songs in the show advance the story. But there's a variety of musical genres in the show, like jazz music. There's some original songs. There's parody songs, some musical theater. There's some pop covers. So the show itself will have a lot of music that at least a song for everyone to recognize. And then the show is basically one woman's journey into understanding polyamory through, relationship trial and error. And so, I say lies, STDs, triads, orgies, in this like wild journey, she sort of experiences it all. And the goal is that it's funny. And I always say that because it's like weird to be like, it's funny. Well, you can decide if it's funny, but like people always laugh. So,
Well, is any of this autobiographical?
Yeah. And so I always say it's about 75% based on my life with artistic changes, right? So I always say that art is a bit more organized, whereas life is chaos. And so when I took some of these things from my life and I knew I wanted to turn it into a show, it was like, okay, what specifically do I take from my lived experiences that were messy or out of order, and how do I put that into a show with a beginning, middle, and end? And so then I also, for the sake of people's identities and things, I changed some names, some professions, places, things like that. Right. But a lot of the experiences in the show I went through in one way or another.
I got hats off to you. I mean, what an incredible feat to be, write. First you got to write it. Yeah. You have to have, you sing, comedic timing. Right. Producing this show. What a amazing thing you've done.
Thank you.
Juggling.
Yeah. This is why you should come to the show. You should come check it out. This woman's put a whole lot of work into this. And was the goal when you wrote it, like, I have to assume this was like, this has to be step one in a journey you're on, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
This is the first time you've written, directed, started something yourself, right?
Yeah, it was the first big show. I had written a couple of parody songs that I performed at a comedy festival in Philly like a few years before that, but this was like the first time where I'm like, I'm just doing it and I'm going big.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. So is the ambition to keep writing, to be more of a musician, a comedic actress,
yeah.
Yes, and
that's a really good question, because I feel like I realized that I wanted to write this show when I was in grad school, and I can't not talk about that because it was such an important part of my life. And so we were going into our last year of grad school during 2020 to 2021, and so we needed to do a show in place of the season we were supposed to do live and in person. And so they were like, you guys should do a solo show on Zoom. And I was like, no, I will maybe do a solo show, but it will not be on Zoom. I will find a way to do it safely for an audience. And so I started reading all these other one-woman shows, and I was like, wow, nothing is where I needed to be. Nothing felt deep enough, true enough, vulnerable, honest enough to really push me as the artist that I was turning into, thanks to my studies in grad school. And so I finally got to a point where I had already started writing a draft of this as if it was a full play. And then I was like, I'm going to turn this into a one-woman musical comedy, because I was going to play to my strengths and my weaknesses as an artist in order to push myself. And so I was like, okay, I love singing. I've been singing my whole life. That's the thing that I do the best at. And so it will have to have song, number one. It will have to be funny, because I'm going to tell these really vulnerable stories. And I'm going to.
And the way to make them relatable and not make people uncomfortable is to make them laugh.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I didn't know if I could definitely accomplish that, but I knew those were the goals. And so, once writing the show, it was apparent that I was like, okay, I'm doing this. And then also, I was realizing, too, that as an artist, in order to continue working and continue to grow and do the things I want to do and tour and make money, sing, whatever that is, I really need to have something that is my own that I can travel with without a lot of other people's help.
Yeah, and I was just about to say, this could be your Fast and Furious. There's a lot you can keep building on. You said at first the idea was a play. Well, it's a one-woman comedy now, but who's to say this can't turn into a full stage play? And who's to say this can't turn into a television series or a movie? Like it's a concept that you can have a lot of fun with. And yes, it's a little edgy, but that's what people want these days, is edgy stuff. Yeah, so like this, for all you know, this could be the beginning of your Fast and Furious franchise.
It could be. And like
I doubt you're going to get her right at Disney, but
right. Well, Disney might not be the right audience, and that's okay. I'm okay with that.
You're watching Disney Channel,
Right?
man.
They'll be like, and you're fired. But I did take a lot of inspiration from Phoebe Waller-Bridge's Fleabag. If you guys,
From who?
Phoebe Waller-Bridge's Fleabag.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of Fleabag. Yeah,
You've
yeah.
heard it's an I don't want to say, I don't know what series. It's a series
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
and it started as a one-woman show in Edinburgh, Scotland. So
Oh, nice.
yeah. So there's a lot of inspiration from that, where she took her one-woman show. It was amazing, hilarious, like edgy, raunchy, hilarious. I said that twice. You get it. And then turned it into a TV series where she has other characters in the show, and it's awesome. And so I definitely have a lot of inspiration when writing the show from that too.
Awesome. And I hope we can just be one more stepping stone on your way to that success.
Yeah, thank you.
And it's so fitting that Trace is on this show, because Trace is also a singer and actor and stage performer. And let's talk a little bit about how you guys met and what you have going on and what people can expect from your performance.
Yeah, we met in School of Rock. I was understudying Dewey, Jack Black role, and Brooke was in the ensemble, teacher, parent, all the
Yep.
things. And how did we? What I think I was listening to some jazzy stuff, and we just started talking about, like, you have this awesome show. And then I was like, oh, well, I also do these. These would be perfect for your side. And then we just kind of made it. I was like, well, there's this place called the Rooster. You can totally play there. I know people.
I remember talking to you and telling you about my show. We were all just getting to know each other in the cast, like in between scenes. And you were like, oh my gosh, I have the perfect venue for you, the Rooster. And I was like, I just moved here. I know nothing. So I'm like, I trust you. Great.
It might have been like an uphill 5-minute conversation. Like that's what it was.
Yeah. And then, like, you told me about the venue, and then I remember, like, maybe a couple days later, you were like, hey, by the way, like, I sing some stuff that I think is the vibe of your show. And I'm like, great, let's do it together.
Yeah. And for this, I'm opening. It's going to be about 15, 20 minutes maybe. It's going to be a lot of, like, medleys with, I got, like, an 80s rock section. I got a rap section, but it's all in loungy jazz. It's going to be really fun and awesome.
So classy and fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and believe me when I say Trace can do it. Trace has performed here many, many times, maybe more than anybody,
I haven't even thought about that.
outside of, like, Jade, because she's here every week. Yeah, but you're one of our most repeat performers / offenders.
Womp
But what Trace did when the first time he came here, he started crooning Nirvana songs.
Oh,
And I was like, who the fuck is this?
Right.
And at the time you were 20 or 21.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Really, really young. And I was like, how does this guy even know Nirvana songs? And then how does he know Sinatra style singing? So I was immediately intrigued by Trace, and we've got a nice little friendship and working relationship as well. And so anytime he brings something to me, he's smart enough to know not to bring me any bullshit.
Right.
That's how I know this is going to be a good show.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
So and Trace does a really good job of, like, he's written some songs too that are kind of comedic and funny, but they sound classy. So like, this is a perfect pairing.
Yeah. That's why I was so excited about it. And I love the blending of worlds. And so that's what I do in my show. Like, there's so many different genres and styles of not only music, but like theater arts that I sort of combine into one show. And so when Trace was telling me that he does this too, I'm like, yes, like, this is perfect.
Yeah, and I think, like, now that we're in the 2020s, like, I see a lot of Gatsby parties. I see a lot of, like, roaring style stuff, and it's kind of like a fad in this kind of decade. And I think that, like, since we're having a cocktail hour, it starts at 7 to 8. Drink it up.
Yeah, come get your drinks
Yes.
on.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of perfect. Like, I knew this was gonna go really well, especially in this kind of time area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And playing to that fad is absolutely, like, a good thing for us.
100%.
It makes it fun. It gives the audience an experience. I feel like like the audiences will come here, on Friday and be like, oh, this feels a bit like a different world than the normal Rooster world. And I think that's a good thing. Whenever you can transport your audiences and bring them into a different experience place with you, I feel like it just makes the event more fulfilling.
No, I agree. And that's why I love doing stuff like this. You'll see once every couple of months, we'll do something that's just very different. And I like that because it just shows the versatility of the venue, but it also shows the wide range of talent that we have in the area. Like I've said from day one, this isn't just about music; it's about art.
Yeah. Also, some of these people that I've invited and they're coming, this is their first time in Gastonia.
Ooh.
So I hope it's a wonderful experience. Shut up about all the crap we get in G-Town.
Yeah. Well, did you hear that, City Council?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, my camera's back there.
I'm looking everywhere. I'm looking at all of them.
We had a review pop up on after last week. After we had a blues artist that's from St. Louis, super popular, and we sold that show out, and people came from all over. We had people here from Tennessee, Georgia, Wilmington, Florence, South Carolina, all over the place.
That's
came to
so
that show,
cool.
and then this guy left this awesome review about having dinner at Webb and then going to the record store, and like they hit all these different businesses in downtown, and I shared it on the Rooster page. Like, look, like you can have an awesome time in Gastonia.
Yeah. Esquire Hotel's right down the streat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can stay here
Yes.
and be safe.
And be safe.
Right.
I've played there. It's a great place.
I want to shift gears for a second. I have an intriguing question with the subject matter of what you write. Tell me if you've had any, like what kind of nonsense or backlash have you received through like comments or emails or reviews even? Have you had, because let's tell both sides of the story because, you live in the Bible Belt. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
Just so you know.
Right. Wasn't part of my life plan, but I'm happy to be here.
There is a church on every fucking street.
That's kind of true, actually.
So how have you been received in this area? And do you have any funny or maybe scary warning type stories you can tell about how this has been received?
Yeah, so I would say overall, I feel like when people read the title to the show, they know right away whether it's something they're going to want to come to. I feel pretty fortunate that the title is edgy and provocative enough that people won't come if they're like, oh, So that is a good thing. And then when they do come, people are always surprised because I don't think they realize how much I do and the level of performance that I put on. And then not only that, the story, I was very intentional when writing the story that it would have messages for everyone to receive that's not just about sex or being poly or whatever that is.
Yeah.
So I really feel like there's a lot to learn. There's some deep messages that people walk away with. And so, and then it's funny. So I feel like overwhelmingly like super positive responses.
I'm looking forward to having that insight of that world because I'm not poly, never have been, probably never will be, but I know people that are, and there's nothing wrong with these people, but I have no idea what that's like.
Oh yeah.
So this is interesting because I get to get a little bit of insight into the psychology and philosophy of that lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it's a lot of work, I always say, singers, artists, theater people, we are athletes, people don't realize, and Trace, gosh, he's tired right now because he's been performing a lot too. Like, you don't realize how much of a physical exercise singing and performing is. And then on top of the 59 hats that I wear with producing and writing and marketing and all of that too. So yeah.
I'd imagine if this does grow into something bigger, you're going to have a really hard time relinquishing some aspects of this, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely. Control freak. Yeah. Yeah.
See that?
Yeah. For a while, I had someone helping with social media, and then it was just like, I'm not really in a place where I'm making enough money to keep that part up. But that was hard to give control to someone, even to just help run the social media.
I know, I get it. It took me a long time to kind of release the reins of some of that stuff, and I'm glad because it's less stressful for me not having to do so much. but it took a long time to find someone I can trust.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the hard part.
Yeah. And even with this show, like I would be stressing about ticket sales, but then remind myself, Trace is helping too.
Yeah.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah.
This is great. Just to have a little bit of the weight taken off my shoulders has been so nice. But I want to come back to the thing about more negative things. Yeah. So I have had a few bad reviews. And when I read the review, and anyone who's seen the show or knows anything about it, I think it's very clear that the reviewer did not listen. They did not truly listen to the messages in the show, because the reviews will come back and basically say it's it's a masturbation, or they can't get over the word slut. And I'm like, yeah, but it's the reclamation of the word slut. And
title.
It literally and so, I have to just laugh and let it go, because I'm like, okay, so this one reviewer was some grumpy man sitting in his, basement behind his computer screen writing an angry review, probably because he's not getting laid. I don't know.
Probably.
Or someone
He's on
else.
Yelp.
I think that's something.
Right?
I think that's something too. You're just going to have to get used to, as it gets bigger and bigger too. Because Michael had the first, the drag show in the burlesque show, and we had protesters that came out for that, didn't we?
For the drag, yeah.
For the drag,
Not so
yeah.
much the burlesque. You'd
Yeah.
have to be an idiot to not appreciate burlesque.
Yeah.
But yeah, the drag show pissed people off. I'll be honest with you, man. I would love to do more drag shows because they are a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I don't really care about the protesting or the shit talking that idiots do. But we did 4 of them, and each one we did, fewer and fewer people came. And I'm like, well, I would do this more if you came. But
Yeah.
So we haven't done one in almost a year now. And I've got nothing against drag shows. It's just that you didn't fucking come.
Yeah.
What do you want me to do?
Right.
Same reason we don't do a lot of country music.
Right.
I will do a country show from time to time, but
You got to show up.
yeah, you got to show up. The stuff that you show up to is the stuff we're going to do more of, and but this kind of thing, I'm always going to be open to doing anything, especially comedy is a part of it. I love comedy. I'm going to find a way to do funny shit because I think people need that. People need to be able to come together for a couple of hours and laugh and have a good time and forget about whatever political stance you're trying to take. And this is a fun way to do it because who doesn't love a slut? You know what I mean?
Literally. And to that point too, part of why I knew it needed to be a comedy, going back to when I first started writing it too, was I was writing this in the middle of the pandemic. The world was dark and full of grief and sadness and anger and whatever. And so I was like, I can't do a deep, meaningful, intense show right now. It has to be funny, not only for the content, but also for the people watching it. So it does provide an escape. Art provides an escape for people.
Yeah, I feel that all the way to my bones. That's part of the motivation for opening this place was trying my goal here. One of them is trying to pull people out of the gloom of just impending doom for our nation. Everyone's fucking flying off the handle one way or another, and it's let me do something good. Let me do something fun for people. Come here and just enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
And come enjoy yourself this Friday, the 21st. And come see Trace Casanova. Come see How to Be an Ethical Slut. Hang out. Cocktail hour starts at 7. This is going to be a really fun show.
Yeah. We'll be around.
We'll
You'll
be
get
hanging.
to actually meet the cast and the performers and talk
all
about
of us.
All 2 of us.
Yes. and let's not forget, you've got merch.
I do. Oh, and I'm wearing it. So, How to Be an Ethical Slut. You can have some show logos, help promote, help support. Thank you. Yes. So, I'll have a bunch of merch here. I'll also have mugs if you want a coffee mug that's a bit slutty. And then I have an Etsy shop with a bunch of merch too. If you want a shirt that just says slut, you can have that as well. So,
I want that shirt. I want the shirt that says slut. Yeah.
yes.
Let me get a double XL on that.
Yeah, exactly. He knows. He knows. Well, let me ask you this, and this, I'm curious. How do you see this received by women, particularly? Because again, I'm not stereotyping. I'm not doing that. But women are way more catty. If this was a dude doing this, dudes are lining up like, fuck yeah, dude. But like a woman doing this, there has to be a percentage of females that have to look at you sideways for this, right? Like, have you just not encountered that?
Well, I guess I haven't encountered that.
Good for you, man.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to, when you read the title of the show, you kind of know what you're getting into. So I feel like I've more been greeted with the support, like, you go, girl,
You've almost created like a protective armor by naming it what you've named it, right? Like, it does kind of, it does kind of, either you're going to be into this or not, and you're going to know by the name. So I guess that makes sense.
Well, and I will say one of my Southern reviewers was a woman. Who is very much a church person, which I realized when I was asking them to review the show. But one of the first lines in the review is, I decided to see if there was really anything ethical about being a slut. And right from that line, you're like, okay, this was not, like, this person came in with a preconceived notion about the show and then just proceeded to be angry that I am an empowered woman.
Right.
Sounds like your husband cheated on her. Pop like that one.
Yeah.
Nah, I mean, look, I don't want to shit on the church people. Like, I believe in God. Okay. It's just you don't pay fucking taxes. Your organization doesn't pay taxes. You don't get to say. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
When you have the same burden I have, then you have a voice, in my opinion. But no, this is going to be so much fun.
It's gonna be awesome.
I'm grateful that you've gone through all this. I know how hard it is to like see something through that's difficult to do. So like that's why I'm so excited. I have a deep appreciation for people that work as hard as you do.
Thank
do you
you.
have a day job too? Like, are you doing this on top of like a day job?
Oh,
or
I have so many jobs, but not like a typical day job. I used to be an internal auditor for big corporations. I have a whole CPA degree and everything. So, I think my business mindset definitely helps as a self-producing artist.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about that on the show, about how, like, if you're going to be an artist, take a fucking business class.
Literally.
Yeah.
I tell everyone, if you don't know what to major in college, study business, because everything is a business in our society.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I just blanked.
Well, I wanted to say I've been promoting this show. It's been I've had to like find the path, because if I get off doing a song at an open mic or a show, I'll say, hey, I'm doing this show. It's called How to Be an Ethical Slut. And then everybody's like, what? And I was like, well, wait, hold on. It's not my show, but I'm opening for the show, How to Be an Ethical Slut. And, and then they're like, all right. That's been fun.
I should mention too that this show is a seated event. And we have tickets for sale on our website. We only have 3 bar stools as the day we're recording this on Saturday. So we have 3 seats left at the bar. We have 3 seats left at a whiskey barrel table, and the rest are chairs. We're going to put some rows of chairs out for like regular seating. So if you are considering coming, go get those tickets, because they did start moving really fast the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
As we get close, as is always the case, you get closer to the show, that's when the tickets start moving. But I mean, as well as I do, the nervous energy of like how our ticket sales going, and people always wait till the last minute, which is fine. Yeah, it's the reason why is because you can with local stuff.
Right.
My wife and I are going to see Deftones next month. You bet your ass we were on that pre-sale to get those tickets as soon as we could. You know what I'm saying? But that's just the nature of how it is. It goes back to what I was saying earlier about how art's like the last thing anyone gives a fuck about. It's the first thing that people are willing to kick to the wayside when, which, on some level I get, if we didn't have the conveniences and comforts of our modern technology, then, most of us wouldn't be artists. We'd be contributing to our, neighborhood or community somehow.
Right.
And but hey, we're here. We have this freedom. Let's fucking use it. Let's have a good time. And for the rest of us that are, scrubbing toilets and working in factories, and like, this is your chance to get out and just have a good time and take yourself out of the mundane of the everyday and have a good time and expand your horizons.
And we can get philosophical for a minute, because I love that stuff. And like, while people always defund the arts first or, prioritize it last, like there is so much good that comes from art. And while people might say, oh, it's not going to keep my electric going, like it's about community and shared experiences. And when we do that, when we are able to come together, we can learn more about each other. We can support each other. It's fostering community. It's an outlet. I mean, people were probably singing and dancing before we were even speaking words. So,
absolutely.
It's ingrained within us, and it's sad sometimes that in our society, we don't have those outlets to celebrate it or do it or dance or sing. And so, I think arts does, it really does have such an importance in our life, and people forget about that because they take it for granted, because people don't prioritize it. They think, oh, well, artists do it because they love to do it. But we need to make a living too.
Yeah, and some of us can't not do it.
It's the only thing I'm good at. I can't do anything else, dude.
I've tried and it doesn't work.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
Not the same.
Did you go to school for anything other than theater?
Learn how to be a fool. No.
So this was always.
I rolled the
path.
dice and it was all on 7, dude.
I have zero doubt in my mind or in my heart that you're going to be just fine.
Mm-hmm. The way your work ethic is so impressive, and I love it. And that's how I knew. I'm like, we're going to work really well together. Like, it's awesome.
Yeah, I've been working like a dog, dude. I'm exhausted. I got to go to a show right now.
I was just about to say we're starting to I'll just kiss each other's ass. So let's wrap it up and because I do know Trace has to get to a gig. Man drove all the way down here to be here, and he's got to turn right around and go to a gig. This is the hardest working man in show business in Gaston County.
Hire me now.
While you can afford him.
Yeah. Yeah, that too.
That's my biggest fear. I'm building all these relationships with all these artists, and I know that at some point, at least one, if not multiple, of these artists are going to take off, and then I'm not going to see them for 20 years when they're on their way down.
Yeah.
Got to do a D-Town show, man.
Right?
Because we're never going to be able to put 10,000 people in here. So
Some modifications. I can see it. Balcony
parking
seating.
lot.
That would be a heck of a show, yeah.
I would love to get to a point as an artist, though, where like I'm at a platform big enough that I can come back to places like the Rooster or like Hendershots, where I first did the show back in 2020, and say, I'm going to do this as a fundraising event for you because I want to give back to people who helped me. So that's like one of my, future goals. So maybe.
Awesome. Good on you for that. Because
Yeah.
even with the limited resources we have, we still find ways to fundraise and support organizations all year long. We've got the Rooster Olympics coming up for Web Street School. We do the toy drive for the domestic violence shelter here in town. We've done cancer fundraisers. Any chance to help, we take it. Because we're all about community.
Exactly.
And people need help, and that's a great note to end on. Anything else first tell people where to follow you, what to look for, both of you, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, so you can find me at www.howtobeanethicalslut.com. You can also find me on Instagram at howtobeanethicalslut. If you find those 2 links, you'll find a bunch of other things. If you want to know more about me as an artist as a whole, you can look me up at brookemccarthy.com. So pretty easy to find those things.
If you want to follow me, go on Instagram, Trace Casanova 00. If you see a handsome fella in a blue shirt, you found the right guy. That's all I got.
Yeah, love it. Awesome.
I also have business cards here, so if you want to hire me, hire me.
Hire
Yep.
Trace.
All right. Thank you so much for being here today, guys. I appreciate it. I cannot wait for Friday night. We're going to have a good time, and you should be here. That's this Friday, February 21st. Trace Casanova, How to Be an Ethical Slut. Get those tickets because I believe we're going to sell this out.
Yeah, I think so. Thank you.
Peace and love.